What's going on, people? What's really good? It's your boy Marv, and this is the Nerds in the Hood. Folks, boy, do we have something to talk about. Let's give them something to talk about. Listen, I gotta review this movie. I missed the boat last year, and I need to review this year. Now, I know it sounds crazy, like, Marv, like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm gonna tell you, this is not a movie pass movement. This is just a regular streaming movie review. If you haven't seen this movie, we need to talk about it. Go see it, then come back and talk to your boy. Tyler Perry's Straw. Now, the reason why I said what I said was because, if I'm right, it was last year he had, what was it, Divorce in the Black on Amazon Prime. I missed that boat. Right, I was just getting into the groove of the whole solo reboot thing, and I didn't get to do that review. And I heard a lot of bad things about it. But what a difference a year makes, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. He's moved from Amazon Prime to Netflix. And Netflix has been giving Tyler Perry a lot of free reign. He's made series, he's done movies. So now he's here with another installment. He got Medea coming back out of retirement for another movie. He got other TV shows. And before I say anything about this movie, I have to say this. I just want to start off by saying this, real talk. I got to give the man credit. It don't matter if the movies are really good to you. It don't matter if the movies are really bad to you. It don't matter if the movies is just aight. Just right in the middle, and they just aight. At the end of the day, this is a man who is making stuff that he wants to make, no matter how much you like it or not. And he's giving himself, he's earned the right to give himself the freedom to create what he wants, whether you like it or not. And that also allows him to hire people that probably don't get the same opportunities for other movies. You know, a lot of these people you see in Tyler Perry movies, some of them don't get those same opportunities. Yeah, you'll see a Taraji P. Henson. She's done her thing. We've seen her in a lot of different stuff. She's got nominated for Oscars. She's won, pretty sure she's won awards. But we've seen her in different things. But she still financially doesn't get the same opportunities as another actress that's probably not of color. So the fact that this man gives everybody an opportunity and he's built a platform where he could create what he wants to create, his volumes. Hats off to him. He deserves his flowers. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to say I was a fan of all of his work. To me, at the time, the best movie I've ever went to the theaters or just seen and said I enjoyed this movie, like I could watch it again, was Daddy's Little Girls. Something about that was really good with Idris and all of them. But I digress. Right now, here we are with Straw. So, this film is definitely an emotional roller coaster. And I'm not even talking about the song, y'all. This movie is something different. This is Taraji P. Henson's tour de force, if you want to call it that. If they don't nominate her for some type of award, and I'm not talking about an NAACP award, I'm not talking about a BET award, even though she could get nominated and win those, that still counts as something. But what I'm saying is, like, this needs to be, we talking Emmys, we talking Golden Globes, we talking Oscar. She needs to be in the discussion. And I know they're going to find some way to not put her in the discussion, but she needs to be in the discussion. But if you haven't seen this movie, there will be spoilers. That's what I'm saying. If you need to, go watch this film and come right back. This film's not long. It's like an hour and 45 minutes, 47 minutes, something like that. But basically, this movie stars Taraji P. Henson. She is a single black mother down on her luck, and she just had just one of those days, a really, really, really tough day. I'm just making sure I'm getting everything right so I could just make sure I got it right for y'all. But anyway, long story short, she had a really tough day, and Tyler Perry makes you watch her day from when she gets up all the way to the moment that we needed to see, basically at the end, where she goes through a whole thing with her daughter. The school threatened to put her in her kid in child protective services. She got fired from her job. She was getting bullied by her boss at her job. She got robbed. She was involved in the robbery. She was set up by accident to be involved in a robbery. The boss believes she was in a robbery, calls the cops. She murders her boss. So it's just like, it was just different stuff over and over and over again. She had to pay $40 for his kid's school lunch. It was just a lot of different things. And then on top of that, which was the craziest part of all, while trying to rush back to work during a rainstorm, she almost gets into a car accident with another driver. That driver has the craziest bout of road rage, chases her down the street in his car, sideswipes her, T-bones her, then was about to just keep driving off until another, like a cop came and was like, yo, you good? What's wrong? Da da da. And then he pulled up and was like, yo, you ain't know I was a cop? I will end you next time I see you. And it was just like, wait, she just got threatened? What's going on? So all of that came crashing down because after that, like I said, she got fired and all this stuff. It's a bit of a different order. I'm just telling you everything that happened. When you see the movie, you'll see the order in which all of these things presented themselves. But all of these things would build up to a boiling point, and it was her breaking point was reached, and she accidentally robs a bank. Let's be real. That's literally what happened. She accidentally robs a bank, and the bulk of the movie is about what happens while she's robbing the bank. All of the trials and tribulations. And what I love first off is that this is a black-owned bank. You can tell. This is a black-owned bank. It's not just like a regular bank where it's like, oh, it's just coincidentally all black people in here. No, this is a black-owned bank, and it was just black people. I do believe this was a perfect situation because there are black-owned banks out here, and that's what made it good because now you're just like people were relating to her. And that's what kind of helped her with this situation because her biggest fear in terms of like the whole robbing the bank thing was, one, her mind didn't allow her to believe she was really robbing a bank until a bunch of people had to tell her she was robbing a bank. And two, her biggest fear was that if she turns herself in, the minute she walks outside, there's a cop outside, the same cop that T-boned her, that was going to take her out. And she was worried that once the police come in, they're not going to listen to reason and they are going to execute her. And as a black person, that's our biggest fear every day. Just, going somewhere and worrying that when we do get pulled over by cops or stopped by a cop, that we might not make it through after the conversation's over. We might get taken out. That's our biggest fear. And sometimes that doesn't happen, and that's a good thing. But for some people, it doesn't happen that way. So her biggest fear was that, I know I'm gonna get in trouble for robbing a bank, but man. Now at the end of the movie, I can say it does involve her getting taken down by the cops. But in what way? That's what you gotta sit through and find out. You know what? This one I'm gonna spoil a little because it's like I do want to touch more on it, and I can't always like wait for people to go see it because I don't know who's watching this, whether they saw it or not. I assume that by you watching this review, you saw the movie. So she doesn't get taken down by the cops in terms of her life being taken, but she does get arrested because at the end of the day, folks, she attempted to rob a bank, and she did unfortunately execute her boss. Her boss was taken out. He's gone. He's not coming back. Also, her boss was actually, back in the day, he was the general from a different world. So he's always had a knack for playing a bad guy. And a bad guy in the sense of it's like, oh, you're a dick. So that's what made it such a powerful film in the sense of emotions and in the sense of just a person having a mental breakdown. It's happened before in movies, but this one told it in such a way, not just from a black experience, just from an experience of like, what happens when a person just had enough? What happens when a person just reached that limit where it's like, like that's the things we have to think about. And she had all of these plans in place when it was like, okay, if I go to jail, who's going to watch my kid? Will somebody watch my kid? What's going to happen? Now, a lot of people I know are going to go online and just crap all over this movie. oh, this is always about the black woman. It's always about the black experience. It's always about this. Sometimes, yeah, that's the story we got to tell because that's the world we live in. Let's be real, right? Like, I remember 10 years ago, it was like 10 or so years ago, there was always a movie about like, not just slavery, but just the experience of like black people back in the day and the freedoms that they had to fight for. We had the movie Selma, we had 12 Years a Slave, we had The Butler, we had so many different movies that had to tell these stories. And you know, sometimes you got that fatigue, like, oh, another movie about freedom, another movie about this. But that's the world we live in. We don't have movies that tell our story. So when we get the opportunity to tell the story, shit, sometimes that's where you gotta go. You gotta just say, I'm gonna tell a movie about my people and the struggle we had to go through again, because I need y'all to understand we went through some stuff. And as y'all already know, in the last 10 years, you know, somebody's been running the game twice in the United States. So we do have to remind our people that, yo, we've been in this fight before and we're gonna get through it again. We just unfortunately gotta wait. But back to what I'm saying with this film. There was 3 people I know that made me extremely mad. One was Taraji P. Henson's character was named Janiyah Wilkerson, right? Yeah, Janiyah Wilkerson. So her character was working at like a little discount store, similar to like if you're down south, you already know it's like a Food Lion. If you live up north, it was more like a Stop and Shop. In the West Coast, I don't know what y'all store is, but it was a local store. It was a local food store, local supermarket. And her boss was named Richard, and it was right that his name was Richard because he was a dick. Man, was he a jerk. He was so mean to her. He made me mad. 2 was the cop. The cop who just kept like threatening to end her life just because they almost got into an accident. Now, granted, as a fellow driver, I know how infuriating it is to be involved in an accident or almost get in an accident. It is infuriating. You are pissed. You want to blame the other person want to blame you. But I never went as hard as to chase the person down and try to run them off the road. And then after I ran them off the road, I'm going to get out the car and go, yeah, I'll end you next time I see you. It don't matter if he was a cop or not. That's wildin'. And 3, oh Lord. Oh Lord. The bank teller named Tessa. I need y'all to understand. All 3 of these people, I believe, played huge parts to her breakdown. Huge parts. If Richard, her boss, had just given her the check, he'd still be alive. She would have just lost her job. He fired her. Okay, it sucks. She was pissed. But if he had just given her the check and said, take this check and go, she'd be okay. He'd be okay. Yeah, they still would have got robbed. He would have been pissed. But whatever. He gets robbed. Things happen. When you get robbed, the one thing that every company always cares about is what? Your safety. So if he had just given her money and kept it moving, probably got pistol whipped or whatever, it would have been whatever. No, he was a jerk. I did not like him. If the cop didn't try to run her off the road and threaten to take her life, she would have been all right either way. It would have been fine. And then lastly, Tessa. All she wanted to do was cash her check. Granted, she did have the burner. I get it. If I saw the burner, I would have been a little shook myself. But when you get hired to jobs like bank tellers and retail and customer service based jobs, you're always trained to never overreact when you're getting robbed. You're supposed to just be like, okay, let's be cool. Here's the money. Here's the money. Let's be cool. Let's be cool. Let's be cool. Like, you're supposed to just be cool. Shorty freaked out. And mind you, if she had just listened to Taraji P. Henson, she would have been like, oh, you just want to cash a check? I bet. Granted, again, she did follow company protocols and was like, look, you ain't got no idea. I can't give you the check. And Shorty pulled out the bird. I was like, just give me the check. Let's go. And then I would have just been like, yo, how much is it? $521? Bet. Yo, we got robbed for like $521. But weirdly, Shorty just wanted to cash her check. So I'm not getting shot for y'all. That's it. So then the reason why I said I kept getting mad at her was because during the whole bank robbery, she kept turning up. She kept having an attitude. She kept being like, so what y'all so hype about this lady for? I'm feeling sorry for her. She robbing us. And it's like, granted, she was technically right. because it's like, yo, we getting robbed. I don't care about her feelings. She's robbing me. She got a gun pointed at me. She's right. But it's also like, you can clearly see this woman got some issues. That's all it's about. So, and then Shorty went to the bathroom, and I don't even know that there was cops by the bathroom, but she snitched and wrote on the window that it's not a bomb, because Janaya had a science project from her daughter and people thought it was a bomb, because it did look like a bomb. It was crazy how much it looked like a bomb, but it was not a bomb. So, it's just to say that this was a movie that even Tyler Perry has said is just about what happens when people don't have that support system. They don't have somebody that will take care of them. They don't have somebody that will, be there for them. I have people in my family that go through that, and, mentally they're not there, and it sucks. Other people, I'm sure, have that too. Maybe. But this was just a movie that just was representative of, like, just what people go through when they don't have a support system to fall back on. They don't have family that'll have their backs. They don't have friends that'll have their backs. Shoot, they don't even have regular people that have their backs. This woman lived basically in the projects, we can say that. She lived in a ghetto part of town. The only person that was really her friend was a homeless man who was played by the legendary Sinbad himself, which I thought was pretty cool. And see, this goes back to what I was saying. We don't know what opportunity Sinbad wasn't getting out there, but we know Tyler Perry gave him one. Shout out to Tyler Perry again, and Sinbad. Good to see you still going. Good to see you still going. But I'm saying that to say that. And then when you find out when you find out what happens with Janaya's daughter, oh, my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, this movie, Tyler Perry really stuck the landing with this movie. It is chef's kiss. Tiana Taylor played a pretty good part as a detective. Forgot the detective's name, but Raymond, right? Or something like that. She played a really good part as a detective who just understood where she was coming from. And again, if you look at the pieces, the way he set it up was like, it was a black woman who was a detective who understood another black woman who was going through it. It was a black woman who was a branch manager of a bank who also understood what another black woman was going through. And even though they were hostages that were customers of the bank, and one of them was a black lady, she listened to her husband who was like, yo, you're crazy. You ain't want to work for nothing. You just want to take money and all this. And it was like, no, you're misunderstanding again. And it was another older black lady who was like, no, I get it. I'm not saying what you're doing is right, but I get it. Nobody was justifying her for robbing the bank. Nobody was justifying her for having the burner on her. They was just trying to say, I get it. It's rough out here. And it wasn't just a movie for just black women. And people are going to blindly believe, oh, this was just a new movie about a black woman going through it. Yes, a lot of Tyler Perry's movies involve black women and the struggle of being a black woman. I know that. I see it. I understand that. But I don't really think this was there, but I don't think it was that kind of vibe. He was just giving you a picture of just what goes on in that kind of lifestyle. And she just happened to be used as an example. He's used other methods before. Y'all seen it. Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I could do bad all by myself and stuff like that. But you've seen with Daddy's Little Girls, it was a similar situation. But Straw just pushed it to different limits. Daddy's Little Girls was a man who was beefing with his baby moms all the time. He couldn't get his life together. His life was thrown to the ground because he was accused of a crime he never did. And nobody believed him because he was a black man. Right? See that? He had a lawyer. She ain't believe him. Everything was thrown against him. And what did he do in the final scene of the movie? He was so pissed off. He was so upset. He just was driven to his breaking point. He goes into a car accident with the bad guy of the movie and beats the brakes off of the bad guy. Beats the brakes off him because he was just tired of the system not being there for him. Straw was a similar situation. Also, matter of fact, he actually did that in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. She was pushed to the brink, almost freaking executed her ex-husband, and then at the end just came to terms and said, listen, I forgive you, but I don't gotta like you. We don't gotta be friends. I just forgive you. And moved on with her life. So it was a similar situation here, But this was more of what happens when there is no happy ending, when there is no person you could fall back on. There wasn't really a happy ending in this movie. It was just a ending we all had to just settle on and deal with. And that's what it was. It was just like we had to just deal with it. She got arrested for doing something wrong. But you know what the happy ending was for black people? The cops didn't take her out. The FBI didn't take her out. She just peacefully got to walk out the bank and go to jail. She'll do time. She'll definitely do time because she unfortunately took her boss's life. But at the end of the day, her life wasn't taken. And people know her struggle. And they did give her a support system at the end. Just wasn't the strongest. It was just to say like, yo, we get it. We get it. So again, for all the people that are going to sit there and go, oh, it's another movie that Tyler Perry made about the black struggle and the black woman. Just do yourself a favor. Don't watch this movie. Because it ain't for you. It's for people who get it. Like, this was a good movie. And I'm not going front, I don't really watch a lot of his movies. And I just told y'all, I thought one of the best movies he's ever made was Daddy's Little Girls. That came out in 2007. That was like 20 years ago at this point. So he's made other movies since then. So it's like, for me to say that means like, for me, it took, I wasn't really going to watch this movie at first. Especially with last year, like I told you, the Voice of the Black people was like, oh, that shit was trash. And now you come back to this one and you're like, oh, this is a little better. I can deal with this. And it wasn't just a little better. It was valid. It was valid. It really explored the psyche in a different way. And he told the story in a different way. And again, like I said, there's times where we've watched movies where people pulled up and they didn't have anything else and they were desperate. I think there was a movie with John Boyega where he pulled up to a bank and he actually had a bomb. This one, she didn't have a bomb. People just thought she had a bomb. But again, when you see the plot twist that happens in this movie, because that's the one thing I will not spoil. But when you see the plot twist that happens in this movie and the way it affects the current scene of things, when you get to that part, oh, if your heart doesn't break, if you don't feel like you need to cry, or you need to pause the movie for like a minute and just like register what you just saw, again, this movie ain't for you, and that's okay. But don't do it to yourself, people. This movie is surprisingly not bad. And again, my hat goes off to Mr. Tyler Perry, because he made something and included people that a lot of people you wouldn't see in movies like that. You know what I'm saying? Tiana Taylor's starting to come into her own. We're starting to see her and stuff. She about to be in a film with Leonardo DiCaprio, ladies and gentlemen. So she's making her way out here in the acting game. And she was an amazing singer before that and dancer. And then you have, Sherry Shepherd, who's a legend in this game. Not just a great talk show host, but a great actress as well. You throw in Sinbad, you throw in, a lot of other people, and here we are with this movie. But again, when you look at the cast, it wasn't like they went on and got a lot of big name people. They just got people that you normally don't see in a lot of projects, and they made it work. So to give those opportunities to people so that way they can get other opportunities down the line, that's what he does. You can't get mad at that. That is what he does. You got to walk in faith and you can't walk in worry. Sometimes I worry. I'm like, I don't know if this thing is going to work. And then here we are, still pushing, still fighting. You got to fight. And that's why I said a lot of those messages was in this movie. But if there's one message I took away from this, one really legit message, it has to be something that a lot of you've already heard. Be nice to everyone when you can. Be nice to everyone. You don't know what people are going through when they're going through it. Be as nice as you possibly can to people. Talk to people. Reach out. Call people. See, if you got friends and family that you haven't reached out to in a minute, reach out to them. Just check on them. See what's going on. See what's happening in their lives. Like, yo, you good? We can't help everybody. You right. We're not miracle workers. But it doesn't hurt to just call somebody for 5 seconds and go, yo, what's good? It doesn't hurt to hit up somebody real quick on Christmas Day and just say, Merry Christmas, fam. Like, Do yourself that favor. Because as you saw in this movie, she didn't have that strong of a support system. She kept talking about how her mom was bad, even though her mom, they used her mom in the end in a different way, which sucked so bad. But she didn't have that strong of a support system, because if she did, we would have never had this conversation. So you gotta just be nice to people, man. That was my biggest takeaway from this film. You gotta be nice to people. You gotta just show that gratitude when you can. Show that compassion when you can. Because as you see right now in the real world, everybody's going through it. Whether you're mad about the president, you're mad about the ICE detainees, you protesting, you know, just different things. Everybody's going through something. So be as nice as you possibly can to people when you can. That's my biggest takeaway from it. But also, I forgot a quick person. F her landlord, B. Her landlord was trash. Because don't get me wrong, homegirl deserved to be evicted if she couldn't get the money. I get that. But, like, again, what I'm trying to say by this is when you see the actual plot twist, you know that the landlord was aware and the landlord still was a jerk to her. It's crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. It really is that crazy when you really stop and think about it. Because how you gonna let two other neighbors make all the noise they want because they pay rent, and you got a woman who got a kid and is like, can you at least tell them to turn it down? Nah, they pay rent. So that value ain't bothering you, fam? Heard you. I don't blame her. I know she didn't have a lot of options. I would have moved. I would at least called my mom and been like, look, let's squash this beef and let me come back in for a little while until I get back on my feet. And as a mother, she should have been like, I bet, because you don't want to see your grandbaby on the streets. But again, this is the type of movie we saw. Got to have an honest conversation about this movie. Yeah, but again, Taraji P. Henson also deserves her flowers. She needs to be nominated for some type of award for this movie. And I mean like the major awards. If she gets a BET award, cool. If she gets a NAACP award, cool. But I need to see her in the Emmy nominations. I need to see her in the Golden Globes or the Oscars. I feel if she doesn't get one of those three, it would be a disservice. And it would be a travesty. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it real. I'm sure it's only June. I'm sure there's other opportunities and movie roles that are going to come down the pipeline with other actresses, and they're going to do their thing. But I feel like if a woman, and this is no knock, but if Mikey Madison could get an Oscar for playing a stripper who basically fell in love too fast and got ridiculed for being a stripper, and the crazy adventure she had for being lied to by her ex-husband, if she can get an Oscar for that, Taraji P. Henson should get an Oscar for playing a black mother who was down on her luck and just had a bad day and had a mental breakdown. That's all I'm saying. And again, this is not a knock to Mikey Madison. She deserved the Oscar if she won it, because she won it. But I'm just saying, if you see an Honora, you're going to stop and go, okay, Straw can get an award for this one. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that is all I wanted to say about Straw. If you got something you want to share, you felt some way about the movie, good or bad, hidden things in the meanings that I didn't see, scenes that you loved or anything, let's talk about it. Hit me up in the comments. Like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's talk about Straw. And again, the title even, the straw that broke the camel's back. I love it. Or the last straw, whatever. Follow me on social media using the link tree below. Again, shout outs to Mr. Tyler Perry, Ms. Taraji P. Henson, Sherry Shepard, everybody involved in this movie. I thought it was valid. Catch you next time, people. Another edition of Nerds in the Hood. Your boy Marv. Peace.